reinventing your life right now, you need to really ask yourself, do I really want to change? Right? So there are times in our lives when we are also forced to reinvent ourselves. Now, circumstances sometimes forces us to reinvent ourselves. Like somebody who I know lost their job, and then, their kids will end up being on the street. They will end up being homeless. And so they realize that the career that they are in, there's not much going on there anymore. So they are forced to have to change because they don't want to see their kids on the street. Now, there are times when circumstances will force you to reinvent. When you cooperate with that, and then you go along with it, that's a great thing. So there are times when it wasn't your own original idea to change, but a circumstance forces you, dictates or necessitates changes, and then you cooperate with it, and then you change. And if that's the case, and if you cooperate like that, that's good. So, but all of this that I've said is simply addressing one thing. Do you want to change? Because really, for a change to take place, for whatever I share to be able to work, you need to want to change. All right? So that's the first thing I want to say in regards to reinventing yourself. The other thing I want to say is that you need to focus on the good. Now, you are embarking on reinventing yourself. Then you need to take stock of what's really going on in your life. Take stock of your life, right? And as you're taking stock of your life, then you need to begin to figure out, okay, what is it that was really good? Because guess what? A fair amount of what is in your life is still good. So sometimes there are the bad stuff, and then there are the good stuff. So as you are reinventing your life, focus on the good. Understand that it is not all bad. Because you don't want to even approach this change with a negative mindset, with a defeated mindset. Now, I understand these are the things that are good, and then these are the things that are bad, and I'm changing and leaving behind what's bad. I continue on with what's good. So, while you are reinventing, while you are taking stock, don't forget that there are some good stuff, and focus on those good things so that you are able to stay positive. In the midst of this pandemic, for example, you can focus on all the bad stuff, or you can take stock and also look at the good stuff. Even as you are, sitting there or in your house, having not much to do as far as career-wise and stuff, and you're thinking, well, I need to reinvent. Even as you're doing so, there is a need for you to also not be living with a defeated mindset, but rather to focus on the good. What's the good in this pandemic, and what is the good that I'm going to bring out of it, even as I switch careers or as I reinvent myself? What is the good that is coming out of this? It will help you to have a positive mindset, and you're not just all depressed. Because if all you do is focus on what is not good, what's not working, what you don't have, what you have lost, if you focus so much on all those things alone, you're gonna develop, depression. You're just gonna get depressed and don't even want to do nothing anymore. So now that is not good. That's not what you want. So in the midst of you trying to reinvent, don't forget that there's some good stuff, and if you have done some things well, give yourself some accolades and praise for that at least I've done this well while I am trying to reinvent. Now, by focusing on the good, it's not in any way to take away from the changes you want to make. It's not in any way to make you to just get back or go back to your comfort zone. You're still going to change, but at least you are doing it with the mindset of positivity, and that will help a lot in this new journey. All right? I'm just giving you some tips on how to reinvent yourself. Another tip I want to give you is that you need to change your diet. Now, it may look simple. What does changing my diet have to do with reinventing myself? But guess what? Have you ever seen some people, maybe they're a little bit overweight, and they lost some weight, and they feel healthier, they feel more positive. You look at them and you see like, wow, something is different about you. There's more energy, they can handle much more, and all that stuff. So changing your diet can really help out. Not only can you lose a few pounds, but when you eat some fruits and stuff like that, it will increase your happiness and resilience level, and it makes it easier for you to naturally reinvent yourself as you become more healthier, happier, and a better version of you emerges out of that. So even when you're talking about reinventing yourself, a lot of us, about 30% of us, are obese. So guess what? Check yourself out and say, you know what? Do I need to change my diet? Do I need to lose some weight? All that can add on to the reinvention of yourself. In our community or in our societies today, we see some celebrities and we see them go on a diet. We see them reinvent themselves. And when they come out, sometimes they come out, reinventing themselves, in time for summer. And when they come out in the summer and they go to the beach and they want to show off their weight loss. They want to show off the fact that they are healthier. They want to show off some new results that they got from the doctors, showing that certain sicknesses or diseases that's connected to the overweight is no longer there. They want to, they're showing all those things and they're saying, hey, I'm happier. I feel healthier. I can walk easily. I can run now. Before I have to breathe hard, in order to be able to walk fast. Now I can walk fast and I'm okay and all that kind of stuff. So a change of diet can help out when it comes to reinventing yourself. I'm giving you some practical things that you can do to reinvent yourself. Another one, the next one I want to share with you is that you need to clear out the physical and the emotional clutter in your life. If you're going to reinvent yourself, get rid of some things, or anything really, that you no longer like, that you no longer use, and you no longer need. It's amazing how sometimes some things that we no longer need, we still leave them somewhere in the house. And so the old house is cluttered with all those things you no longer need, and then there are some things you no longer use and you will never use. Can you imagine that? You have some clothing in the house, you don't use them anymore, and honestly, you will never use them. So why are they there? Get rid of them, donate them, sell them, recycle the old stuff, and you'll be able to find the real you. So as you declutter your life physically, and then you also declutter your life emotionally, then you're gonna be able to reinvent. It's all part of reinventing yourself. Now, when it comes to the emotional one, because the physical clutter, you can see it, it's visible. But when it comes to the emotional clutter that you cannot see, but you know it's there is a need to also tackle that. Emotional clutter is much more difficult because it's affecting how you think and do everything. So, even as you're decluttering your life, it's so important that you check yourself out emotionally. Like, how am I? How am I feeling? What's going on there? It's extremely important because it affects the way you think. And how you think affects everything else. It's from what you think that you speak. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he as well. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. That's a scripture. So, what you are thinking, you speak. What you are thinking, you express in your actions. And if they are negative thoughts, then they are negative expressions, negative behaviors, negative speeches, and it affects people around you. It affects your relationships, it affects everything. And so as you're trying to reinvent yourself, part of what you may begin to realize is that, wow, it's because of this emotional clutter that I have been messing up my relationships on the job with my co-workers, with my spouse, with my children, right? With fellow church members and stuff like that. You've been messing everything up because you have this emotional clutter that you need to get rid of. So there is a need for you to declutter yourself emotionally. You need to conquer all this emotional clutter by becoming aware of your actions. You got to be aware of your actions. I remember a guy that used to work closely with me, and I had to help him to be aware of his actions, because everywhere he went, he got into a fight. I mean, literally. Everywhere he went, if you send him, hey, please go to the store for me, by the time he got back, he has fought somebody at the store. If he goes, anywhere he goes, really, he's fighting people everywhere. So I had to help him to become aware of his action, and then become aware of that emotional clutter. Whatever he has been through, the anger of growing up, he's carrying it around, and he needs to let it go. Maybe you're watching me right now and you have anger. Maybe you have lack of trust issues, or whatever your own issue is, that have become an emotional clutter in your life. And there is a need for you now to declutter those things, because they will affect everything else. They affect how you think. Somebody comes into your life, somebody comes and say hello, you are already thinking they have a reason for saying hello. You have thought all kinds of negativity for their hello. People can say hello and don't have to be anything negative. But for you, you've been through something. It's become an emotional clutter in your life. So everything else is judged by the lens of what you have been through. So somebody cannot smile at you, oh, they must be up to no good. Because maybe somebody who smiled at you when you were a child was up to no good. So now, everybody else that smiles at you, they're up to no good. Now, you need to declutter yourself of that. Or else, good people will come into your life, helpers of destinies will come into your life, and you run them away because of this emotional clutter that you're carrying around. So there is a need to declutter your life and to emotionally declutter yourself. If you don't do it, then you'll be carrying out all this weight, and some of it has affected you so much. It is now time to reinvent. It is now time to change. It is now time, to turn things around. You need to change so much. It might mean challenging yourself, but I'll get to that. So, as you try to emotionally declutter, you need to ask yourself, how am I feeling? Why do I feel this way? How am I feeling? Why do I feel this way? Now, when you begin to answer that question, you know what, I feel this way because of this, because of that, right? Then is there anything I can change for the better in this moment? Is there anything I can change right now for the better? You need to ask yourself this kind of questions, and they will help you as you declutter yourself emotionally. So I said you need to declutter yourself physically and emotionally. All right? Then the next one is, as you're trying to reinvent your life and reinvent your career, you need to change up your routine. You need to change up your routine. Sometimes you get stuck in a routine, and it's like you are on autopilot all the time. You are on autopilot all the time. But guess what? Even though your life has become so systemized, you don't even think about it anymore. You can change it up. Because really, when everything is on autopilot and you don't even have to think, because this is the routine, that is when life becomes boring and monotonous. And then you feel like and you look like you're stuck. So sometimes change up your routine. And you'll be surprised, like, wow, this is a nice way of doing it. This is a nice way of looking at it. And I'm not in any way knocking systems. We need to have systems. However, every now and then, change up the routine. And it will help to reinvent your life. Sometimes when you change up your routine, you realize that, wow, this new approach is even better than the old one. And then you begin to use a new approach. All of a sudden, people around you are like, wow, something is different. Wow, you are different. Yes, I've reinvented my life. And part of that is that now I have changed up my routine. All right? The next one, we're talking about changing, reinventing yourself. And I said reinventing means to change something so much that it becomes like brand new. So you can change so much that you become like a brand new person. So, one of the tips I'm giving you is making yourself uncomfortable. Making yourself uncomfortable. Sometimes people become so comfortable. They become so comfortable that they do things in their comfort zone. And how are you going to change if you keep doing it in your comfort zone? As a matter of fact, I love how somebody put it. They said they go to their default setting. The default setting. What is your default setting? That default setting is a very comfortable place. But you will never grow if you don't make yourself uncomfortable. People get stuck when they become comfortable with their lives. We are meant to challenge ourselves. So try to do something that will challenge you. Try to do some task that will challenge you and get you out of your comfort zone, right? And whatever it is, challenge yourself in some small ways. And you begin to find that you feel more confident and new opportunities will start to appear because now you are challenging yourself. So I want to encourage you, if you are going to reinvent yourself, all this comfort zone living that you have been living, begin to get out of it. Challenge yourself. Get out of some of your comfort zone. It's all part of reinventing yourself. You begin to get out of the comfort zone. All right? So when you begin to break out of your comfort zone, you begin to have new experiences. You begin to meet new people. You begin to learn something new. So, reinventing yourself requires all of these things. Another one, the next one, is sometimes as you're embarking on reinventing yourself, don't forget to evaluate first. Take it slow and evaluate yourself. So, I want to get unstuck as quickly as possible, yes. But don't forget that there's a reason why you were stuck. And so, you need to take time out to look at your life and how you feel about what's currently going on. And then you get the ability to make small changes that can often have a huge, lasting results. But you got to take a moment to say, what's going on? Why am I feeling this way? Why am I stuck? What's the reason why I am stuck? Because there's a reason why you're stuck. So you need to check that out. Now, when you begin to make some slow, small changes, before you know it, you become new and a better version of yourself that is very easy for you to maintain. Now, I love what I just said about maintenance because at the end of the day, as I'm reinventing myself, I don't want to reinvent to go back to the old self after a month, right? So you want to reinvent to stay with this new version of yourself. Sometimes people will say, okay, I've changed something, and then you realize that the changes never last. So make sure that you are changing. It's better, it's slow, steady, meaningful, that will become part of your life than a quick thing that you did in 2 weeks that you cannot even sustain. So maybe some of you have reinvented yourself in some ways before, and you realize that it never lasts. Well, maybe because it was too fast, it was too quick, maybe it was out of an emotional response to something, to a circumstance or a situation or something somebody said, but it wasn't a real thing you were convinced about. And so it never lasts. I say to people, it's always important, when it changes from within, it will last. When it's from people pushing you, and you are not even convinced about this particular change you are making, it will not last, because you just go back to your default setting. All right? Another point in reinventing your life is that you need to create a vision and a plan for your life. It's very possible that you once had a vision, for your life, but somehow you've kind of like gotten away from it all. And now as you're trying to reinvent, you also need to have a vision. You need to have a clear plan for your life now. So you may be stuck now, but a great way to feel like you're on a new path is to create a vision or a plan and what you really want your life to look like. So begin to write down what it should look like and feel like. So this new life of yours, what is this supposed to look like? What is it supposed to feel like? Begin to write it down. You know what? I want to reinvent my life. And I want this life, this new life, to be like this. I want to feel this way. I want to look that way. I want my life to be this way. So write it down. So, and after you've written down this vision and this plan for your new self, then every day take steps to make those plans a reality. And keep going until you actually start to become that vision. Wow, that is extremely important. So you have this new vision, new plan for your life as you are reinventing your life. Remember, you're not going to get there in one day, but be steadily taking steps towards the right direction. One day you look back and you say, wow, look at me. I have accomplished this vision. I'm closer to it than I was in the beginning. So every day, take steps to make those plans a reality. The key is every day. Don't just do it for the week and abandon it. Continue to do it. If you need an accountability partner, then get one. Whatever it takes for you to just continue to reinvent yourself, then do what you need to do. But there is a need for you to write out the plan, to follow the plan, and to take steps every day towards the fulfillment of that plan. I'm sharing with you some tips on how to reinvent yourself. Another thing about reinventing yourself is attaching yourself to the right people. You know, for some of us, we are stuck and we are the way we are because of who we are around. And the Bible says something, evil communication corrupts good manners. So, and then there is a saying that, show me your friends, I will show you who you are. Your association makes, a lot of impact upon your life and determines a lot who you are right now. And so, if you want to reinvent yourself, part of what you need to begin to do is to declutter yourself of old friends that are not good, of people in your life that do not add any positive value to your life. Sometimes some of us have people in our lives that are just negative people. When you're trying to move forward in positive things, they want to pull you back and tell you it's impossible, you cannot do it. You don't need people like that in your life. You don't need people who are just not supportive, who don't celebrate you, but rather they're tearing you down. You don't need them in your life. You don't need people who are pulling you away from your goals and visions and distracting your life. You don't need such people in your life. You need the right people. So you need to attach yourself to the right people. As you network with people from all over the world, because of social media that allows us to do that now, make sure that the people you are networking with are the right people and you're connecting with the right people. Check them out, check who they're all about, what values they stand for and all that stuff. But you need to have the right people in your life. I remember when I was in college, I actually incorporated my first business at 19 years old. And part of what was motivating me, apart from that, the fact that I'm business-minded and oriented myself, but I had some of my college friends who were actually also running their own businesses. We were all in college and we were running businesses. So, of course, at that age, it's not like you know how to run a $1 million business, but we were running something anyway. So that was an encouragement because I have this friend who's an entrepreneur, I have the other one, and it's like, wow. So it gives you the courage to push ahead and just do what you got to do. So have the right kind of people in your life. It's so important. If you attach yourself to the right people, it helps you along the journey of reinventing your life. All right? Another tip I want to share with you is that if you're going to reinvent your life, you need to get in, or you need to put in new information into your life. In other words, you need to learn. You need to learn. You see, you cannot grow if you're not learning. You cannot grow if you believe you know it all already. So you need to learn. So that means listening to seminars like this, attending seminars, reading books, whether it's listening to audiobooks or attending, live seminars or reading books. But you want to get information in. And when you look at the word information, you divide that into two. Information. Information. What you bring in forms you. What you bring in, the information that you bring in, they form your life. So as you're trying to reinvent your life, make sure that you're bringing in the right types of information. So that information will open your eyes to areas of weaknesses, to areas of strength. It will open your eyes to areas where you need to change. It will open your eyes so that now the information you are bringing in forms the new you that you want to become. You cannot just say, from today, I'm a new person. Well, what have you brought into you to change the way you think? What have you brought in to help influence the way you think in the right direction and in the right way? It's important that as you're trying to reinvent yourself, begin to put together a list of books. Maybe you know some people who are there where you want to be. You can ask them, what are the books that you read that helped you to get here? What are some of the things you have learned? Ask some questions. And they may share some things with you. They may share a thought pattern. They may share a mindset with you that you realize that you don't have. And then going forward, you begin to adopt those new mindset. And you begin to see that, wow, a new person has been formed out of the information that you got. So it's extremely important that if you are going to become the new you need new information. I'll never forget times that I would just take time out and just listen to some new information. I mean, within weeks, those who are around me will notice that, wow, something has changed about you. Yeah, because I decided to educate myself and fill up myself with some new information that changed my mindset. And so my action follows my mindset. So if you are going to change, it's not just enough to say, well, I want to change. I have changed. You can say you have changed, but if there's no new information influencing your mindset, you really haven't changed. It won't take too long before you start acting the same old person. So if you want to really have a change, it's extremely important that you have new information. So you need to humble yourself. Put your titles aside. Sometimes people, they feel like, oh, I am the bishop, so I don't need information. I am the manager, so I don't need information. The truth of the matter is that we are all students. So your title has nothing to do with this. Just get in new information. And I want to also challenge you that diversify the information you get. So, and be around a variety of people. So when I said attach yourself to the right people, don't just attach yourself to people from your own culture alone. So if you're black, don't just attach with blacks. Attach with some white people too. Attach with some Africans, attach with some Asian people and stuff like that. Just mix it up so that you can get different perspectives from different cultures. And it will help to enrich you a lot. So attach yourself to the right people and learn new information. We're talking about reinventing ourselves. Another point is that you need to find a mentor. You need to find a mentor. If you look at a lot of successful people today, they have a mentor in their life. Yes, they do. They have a lot of mentors in their life. Some of them may have 5 different mentors. One person mentoring them in the area of business, another one in the area of relationship, another one mentoring them in the area of ministry. If they're in ministry, another one mentoring them in other areas, or even in their own personal life. So find a mentor. Now, there are several types of mentors. There is the fact that you can have a direct mentor. That's a mentor that is actually in front of you and that will guide you. The one that they know they are your mentor, you know you are their mentee, and they will actually guide you. But then you also have the indirect mentor. The indirect mentor are the mentors that you are not physically in front of. They are not physically in front of you, but they are still mentoring you, like authors. You are reading their books, or you are listening to their audio, or you are watching their videos, you are following them closely. Now, even though you are not in front of them, they don't really know you by name, but they are still indirectly mentoring you. And then everything in life is also a mentor. So whatever you see going on around, you can find mentorship around. So, but be committed to having a mentor in your life. I would definitely say direct or indirect, extremely important. You need to have mentors in your life. Another key to reinventing yourself is that you should not be afraid to experiment. Don't be afraid to experiment. Every now and then you try new things, new fun projects, right? You try new things. I remember somebody who lost their business, and so they began to experiment. They tried to blog, they tried running an agency like a medical agency, or they start a payment company. They just experimented with a number of things. They succeed at some, failed at some, but that kind of helped them to know themselves better and where their strength lies and stuff like that. So when we talk about reinventing yourself, don't be afraid to experiment. Now, in life, there's no success without some sort of risk. Now, but take calculated risk. Take risk, sensible ones. Don't take some risk that is not, based on at least some research and stuff like that. That's foolish. But you still need to take some risk. Now, anyone who don't want to take a risk at all is not going to go nowhere. You're going to stay in the same spot. So, if you're going to grow, there's a need for you to take some risk. And so even as you're experimenting with some stuff, there's a risk involved, but you experiment anyway. And in the process, you may discover where your strengths are, strengths that you have that you never knew you had. All right? Now, part of another point I want to make in reinventing yourself is that you need to begin to make new lists every day. Because now you're reinventing yourself, you're committed to this new life. Begin to work with a to-do list. Begin to make some lists that you work with, right? So when you make a list every day, then you're able to focus, and you notice certain items, that, okay, you know what, this one is more important than the other, and but begin to walk through your list. It helps you. For me personally, I'll write out a list and I'll be crossing them out, for each day. So work with a list, and it will help you a lot. Now, part of reinventing yourself is that you also need to accept failure. Because when you are reinventing yourself, it takes some hard work and patience. And along the way, you need to accept the fact that you are going to fail along the way. It's not everything that you set out to do that's going to work exactly the way you want it to work. But understand that it's all part of the process. So if this don't work out exactly the way I want it, it's part of the process. Embrace it, learn from it, and keep moving forward. Right? Because you can do this. Keep moving forward. So accept failure as part of the process of reinventing your life. You are, you are going towards a new direction for your life. Understand that failure is going to be part of it. And it doesn't mean you are a failure. You failed at one thing doesn't mean you are a failure. You failed at one thing is teaching you a lesson. Embrace it, learn from it, so that you know how to continue to keep moving forward. But definitely keep moving forward. I will also say, in reinventing yourself, manage your finances. That's the last thing I would say. Manage your finances. Because sometimes changing yourself, which for example might mean changing a career, might mean that you have to attend new workshops. You may have to take some seminars, right? So you are about to reinvent your life. So manage your finances in such a way that you put some money aside. You know what? I want to reinvent my life. I want to attend some seminars. I want to, buy some books. I want to get in some new information. Let me set some money aside for that, because it's all part of the process. So right now, knowing that you are about to move towards that direction, be putting some money aside for that. You are about to embark on a new journey. So I just shared with you some tips on reinventing yourself. Let me say this. As you are reinventing yourself, let me share a point or two that's not on my notes here. Your mind is key. And so remember that when I talked about getting more new information, make sure that new information is changing your mindset. Because where you are right now, you may be stuck. You may be going through a lot right now. Where you are right now, a lot has to do with your mindset, how you think, how you see things. the lens with which you look at things. So there is a need for you to begin to change that mindset. You see, until you change your mind, your life cannot change. If you don't change your mindset, your life cannot change. So make sure you are focused on really renewing your mind. I love that scripture in Romans 12:2. It says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. In other words, reinvent by renewing your mind. Change by renewing your mind. So if you are going to change, there will be a need for your mindset to change. There is no change without the mind changing. So the way you see things, the way you process things, all that needs to change as new information, positive information, truth, biblical information is coming into you and it's reorienting your mindset. It's changing your mindset and you begin to think differently. Maybe you used to think in a negative way before, now you begin to think in a positive way. It will change your outlook on life. It will change how you view others around you, because the way your mind thinks affects how you treat other people. It affects everything. So there is a need for you to change your mindset. Now, let me also add on that in reinventing your life, you also need to understand that your feelings should not direct your life, but rather you have a set principles. There are some core values that direct your life. And when I say that, there are some people, when they wake up in the morning, their day is going to be dependent on how they feel. So what are you going to do today? Well, let me see how I feel. They literally wait for how they feel. So they are not walking based on a principle or based on a goal or plan they have set for their life, but they are walking based on how they feel. And there are some of you watching it, and that's how you live your life. Everything is about how you feel. So what happens is that if you don't feel good for the next 2 weeks, nothing good will happen in your life for the next 2 weeks, because you go by how you feel. Well, guess what? As you are reinventing your life, you're going to need to put that feeling aside. And you say, feelings, you are not going to lead my life. I lead my life. I say, this is what I want to do. I say, these are the goals I have for my life. And I'm going to do things based on the goals that I have for my life. I'm no longer going to do things based on how I feel, but rather based on the goals that I have set. So if I've said today I'm going to make some sales calls, whether I feel it or I don't feel it, I'm going to set out to do it. I lead a prayer conference call, and I do that every night. And when I do it, sometimes I feel so tired. My body is so tired, and I'm like, man, if I look at how I feel, I will not do it. I will not do it. But I just ignore how I feel, and I go and do what I gotta do. And you know what's so amazing? I'm feeling super tired. I'm feeling like so sleepy. I'm feeling all this stuff. And 10 minutes into the call, all that feeling disappears. You know why? Because I don't let my feelings dictate what I'm going to do. I just do it, and I do it with that feeling. I'm feeling heavy, I do it. I'm feeling tired, I do it. I'm feeling sleepy, I still do it. But because I make up my mind to do it, and because I am in charge, not how I feel, so my feelings cooperate with me. Some of you never understood that. You've never lived your life that way, because everything has always been based on how you feel. So if I feel like, I will do it. If I don't feel like, you won't do it. And that's what has caused many people to fail, because they are waiting on a feeling. And if you are to wait on a feeling, feelings fickle. Feelings are not always the same. You feel good today, you do it. You don't feel good tomorrow, you don't do it. Then you are not consistent and you are not reliable. One of the keys to being reliable, and as you are embarking on a new life and reinventing your life, is that you are going to make up your mind. You're going to do stuff not based on how you feel, but based on the principles that you have set and the goals that you have set for your life. All right, so those are tips on reinventing your life. Let me end up by giving you a tip or two, or a few tips on your career. If you're trying to reinvent your career, you need to reflect on what's working and what is not working. So it starts with an inward and taking time to reflect on what it is in your career and life that is not working. Because sometimes as you evaluate your work days and you evaluate your week and ask yourself every day, what task felt like a big no inside of me? And what task feels like a big yes inside of me? I found out sometimes that what you do may not be what the problem is. Sometimes it's the industry that's the problem. In other words, maybe you're into sales. You still love sales. You realize that, I love sales. I just don't like this industry. So you switch industry. Maybe you go from medical to cosmetic or something, but you're still doing sales, right? So as you're evaluating, what is it that works? What is it that's not working? You really want to evaluate and check out what's really happening. Don't just rush out and make a career change. Take stock of yourself. Check inside of you. See, what is it that I don't like? What exactly don't I like? Sometimes you are tired of the company that you're working at, and you may need to separate the company from what you do. In other words, maybe you love what you do. It's just that you don't like that company. So in that case, it may not be a career change that you need. It may just be a company change. So, but in some cases, you may need to change your career, but you need to take a stock to know this. Another thing is that you need to add on to your skill set. You need to add on to your skill set. So work on your strength, not your weaknesses, right? So you must define what your core strengths are. So as you look back at your careers thus far, and you consider where you excelled and what you were doing right, then you begin to know what your strengths are. And then begin to add on to that. Like somebody said, don't wash the slate completely clean when it comes to a career transition. Realize that career pivots often are the act of choosing to reset your career for the sake of harnessing your best skill set, often in careers that you weren't fully using it. So you're like, okay, what are my skill set? What are my best skill sets? Right? And this best skill set are what you're going to take on to the next place. Very important. Another point is that you need to define the transition. So I'm giving you some tips on career change now. You're reinventing your career, right? So you need to know why you want a change. Why do you want a change? You need to know what you want to take with you into the future. So this is now the time to get really clear on what your new career will look like. So what's your transition like? What am I looking for next? Right? Define all those things. It's extremely important. And then build some patience in your life. So I know you want to make a change, and of course many people want something to change right now. But hey, slow down. Slow down. And as you're slowing down, you're taking time out to really go for the right opportunity. Don't just rush out of this career and jump into something without making sure it is the right opportunity, right? Very, very important. Now, as you're trying to reinvent yourself career-wise, you also need to make a simple plan. Make a simple plan. Don't make it too complex. Write out the plan. What are my plans, right, towards this new career? Now, I know these are basic things I'm saying, but don't overlook them as you're trying to change your career or reinvent your career. Very, very important. Then also build your skills. Now, you realize these are my strengths, and in this new career that you want to get into, maybe there are some skill sets that you don't have now. So begin to build your skills in that area so that you're equipped for the next place. And of course, there are all kinds of online platforms, Coursera, Khan Academy, and many other ones are out there that can help you to